Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Donovan. This is the Apple Watch Series 4, and tonight I want to make the argument that this is not only the best smartwatch you can get, period, but also the best smartwatch you can get if you are a runner. So that's a pretty bold claim to make because there are a lot of really fantastic watches out there available for runners. But tonight I want to talk about why I love the Apple Watch Series 4 so much. And like I mentioned, this is coming from a runner's perspective. I've been a runner for 22 years of my life, and I, without a doubt, will say that this is my favorite smartwatch, hands down. So, just as a little bit of perspective, I have a number of other smartwatches like the Samsung Galaxy Watch. Also, one of my favorites is the Garmin Vivoactive 3 Music. A couple of Amazfit watches that represent excellent value for the money. You can actually get this one, the Amazfit BIP, for $60, so that's super awesome value for the money. Great GPS tracking, and then I do also have the TicWatch Pro as well, which also is a fantastic smartwatch. So lots of great smartwatches out there, but in my opinion, this one is hands down the best, and we'll talk about why that is in just a moment. But first, let's talk about what's not so great about the Series 4. So number one being the price. Like I mentioned earlier, there are definitely other watches that represent a better value for your money. So like the Amazfit BIP, obviously can't do nearly what the Apple Watch Series 4 can do, but if you just need a watch that gives you smart notifications, this does it. You can't respond to them, but you get them, that's great. And then also it has a heart rate monitor that is very accurate, and GPS is very accurate. So all that makes this thing a super great value for the money, only $60. And obviously, another thing that makes the Apple Watch Series 4 a little bit weak is the fact that watches like this Wear OS watch from TicWatch, this is the TicWatch Pro, work with both Android and iOS, where of course, obviously the Apple Watch only works with iOS devices, so iPhones. And the third thing that makes this maybe not so great, of course, is the battery life. So Apple, in their keynote address, said that you can get 18 hours of battery life. So this is a very typical day for me. I am finishing my day with 37%. So it's almost 11 o'clock at night. I think I took it off the charger maybe at 7 o'clock this morning. And you can see that if I go into my activity, I went for a walk at one point, and I used GPS during that. I also used it for an outdoor run. I was listening to a podcast while I was out on my outdoor run. So using a ton of battery, not only with GPS, but also had it paired up to my AirPods, and also listening to that podcast like I mentioned. And so that's going to use up a lot of battery. So my typical day when I'm doing a workout is going to finish with about that, like 30 to 40%. And that's using it pretty heavily, like I mentioned. But if you're not using it like that, like let's say there's a day where I actually wanted to track and compare what these two did in terms of how accurate the GPS was. So this is my Garmin watch, and so I didn't even use the GPS that day on the Apple Watch, and I finished with more like 50 to 60%. So obviously using GPS is going to really reduce your battery life, but you can easily get through a marathon unless you're running like a 6-7 hour marathon. Then maybe you might not be able to make it. But easily, if you're running a half marathon, 20 miler, whatever, you're going to be able to get through a full day. So with that being said, now I want to talk about what makes this thing so fantastic. So first of all, again, I have the 48mm version and the LTE version. So let me just say this, that the LTE version really does kind of give this a lot of added bonus features that I really like, and that would be, first of all, let me just go ahead and go into all of my apps. So I use the LTE actually a lot. So I use it for streaming radio, so that means you can stream literally any radio station. So I've been listening to like classic rock, I don't think I've ever listened to that one, Christian radio. So while I'm out on a workout, I can listen to any one of these stations, and really any station that's out there that's available. So that's really awesome. So I don't have to just listen to the same playlist over and over. I can listen to any radio station. That is really awesome. Same thing with podcasts. When it comes to podcasts, I'm out on my run and I just want to listen to a podcast. You can see I am kind of a podcast junkie. I have a ton of them that I listen to, and the fact that I can listen to my podcast while I'm out on a run is fantastic. Now, are there other watches that can do that? Sure, yeah, I can listen to podcasts on the Samsung Galaxy Watch, but I'm going to have to download them, whereas with the Apple Watch Series 4, especially the LTE version, you can actually just listen to them using the LTE, and that is really great. I love that. And then, of course, if you just want to listen to your normal playlist, it does, of course, have Apple Music. And then the activity tracking. That is another thing that I think is just absolutely fantastic. So it does just a great job of tracking activities. And overall, I think this thing is just great when it comes to overall tracking your runs. So, for instance, let's go down here into the iPhone here. So I'm going to scroll down, and this is basically all the same stuff, only here now I can actually go in depth with my workout. So you can see here, tracked my workout that I did a little bit earlier today. So of course I can get my calories burned, my elevation, distance, time, and you can see the heart rate monitor, steady. There have only been a couple of occasions over the last 3 weeks that I've been using it where I thought the heart rate monitor was maybe just a touch off, and it was always at the beginning, like you can see here. But other than that, it has been pretty much dead on, which you would expect because this, of course, has like FDA support, especially with that EKG or ECG electrocardiogram. And then when we scroll down here, you can see it's going to give me my splits. Now, for those of you that are Strava users, let me just mention one thing real quick, because somebody mentioned this in one of my other videos that I made. So I'm going to go into health. So if you're a Strava user, of course, you can use the Strava app that is available on the Apple Watch Series 4. And the reason I bring this up is because a lot of people that are runners really like to use Strava. So I will say that the Strava app on here just absolutely is not good. So you probably don't even want to use it. So that's just a heads up. The Strava app just isn't good. So I recommend using the regular workout app. So I'll get out of that because, like I said, Strava, not great. So I recommend using the regular workout app and then downloading this app on your iPhone called, here it is, Healthy Fit. So what's awesome about Healthy Fit is that it basically will take your workout that you did in Apple Workouts or whatever that's called, the workout app, and then you can transfer that over to any of these apps here. So there's Strava, and so just by clicking on Strava, it will then take all that information and take it over to Strava for me. So that is really awesome. So I can go in here and you can see that exact same workout here in just a second. So I don't want to show you some of the other people that I follow, but there's that exact same workout that I did on my Apple Watch a little bit earlier today. So all the distance, and then if I click in here, it's going to show you all of the heart rate information, all the same stuff that you could see on the watch as well. So that's how I've been using it, just as a heads up for those of you that are interested. Alright, so before I get off the running theme, I did want to mention a couple of other things that people have mentioned in some of my other videos about the Series 4 or even the Series 3 Apple Watch. And one of them being that watches like this Garmin watch, this is the Garmin Vivoactive 3 Music, they allow you to do interval workouts, whereas obviously if you go into the native app of the Apple Watch, this is the workout app, you can see that it does allow you to pick some different goals. So you can pick a goal of how many calories to burn, how much time or distance, and you can even set pace alerts, but you can see there is no way to do intervals here. So I did want to mention that there is a third-party app that I've been using called Interval Pro. So if you want to do some intervals, this has been a fantastic app for that, so I highly recommend it. It's called Interval Pro Workout Timer. If you want all of the custom workouts, you do have to pay, I believe $3 is what I paid for it, but definitely worth it. So that is for those of you that want that. And then also I want to mention another thing that people complain about with the Apple Watch Series 4 is the fact that there is no sleep tracking, but that of course is also available in the App Store as well. So if you want interval training, if you want to track your sleep, it is available. You just have to go to the App Store and get a third-party app at this time. Hopefully in some near future, Apple will come out with their own version, but for now that is not available, so you'll have to go to the third-party apps at the moment. So we've talked about the running stuff. Let's talk about all the other things that make this thing fantastic. So first of all, that screen is bright, it's vibrant. It's obviously not going to be an always on display like you get with something like a Garmin, or even my TicWatch Pro has an always on display, or even the Samsung Galaxy Watch. You don't have that available here on the Apple Watch Series 4. But it's very bright, it's very vibrant. The response to text messages, Facebook Messenger, just the ability to respond using the microphone through the voice, which is super accurate, has been awesome. So rather than having to get out my phone and actually text somebody, I can just use the Apple Watch Series 4 and dictate everything to it. So much faster than trying to actually type it out. In fact, I've been using it to respond to text messages almost exclusively because it does such a great job with that microphone. Also, phone call quality on this has been fantastic. And I do want to mention also another thing, and that is the LTE. So again, I have the LTE version, and compared to my Series 3 Apple Watch that I had, the LTE on this is definitely improved. So that is a huge improvement in my opinion. The LTE signal strength has been much better on the Series 4. Not that the Series 3 had terrible LTE coverage, but in comparison to like a phone, it just was nowhere nearly as good. Whereas with the Series 4, it is much more comparable to something like the LTE coverage you get on a phone. So that has been really great, which means that when I'm streaming like my podcast or streaming my music through Apple Music or Apple Radio, it's been great. I've not had any hiccups at all with that. And overall, this has just been a fantastic experience with the Apple Watch Series 4. It's going to be hard to go back to other watches as I review other watches. I will be continually using this, so that means basically I'm going to have 2 watches on my wrist. So whenever I do comparison videos, I'm going to have a Galaxy Watch on my wrist and an Apple Watch on my wrist. So it's going to be different. It's going to be weird, but I don't want to take this one off. I love it. Definitely recommend it to anyone who's considering. If you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, I would definitely say if you have the money and it's something you've been thinking about, don't hesitate. Apple Watch Series 4, certainly worth the price. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.